Hi everybody, it's Nick McDonald here from Trade with Precision. Welcome to this week's dollar index and currency market update. What we have on the screen here is the DX contract, and we have a monthly chart. What we've seen this month so far is a very big bullish rejection of that lower support level. The other news is that we only have a few days left of this month, so by the time you view this video we've probably got 1 or 2 days left of the month. We're going to have a new daily candle kicks in on Wednesday the 1st of December. This monthly candle so far looks very strong, and assuming it can close in a similar fashion, if we can break up through that on December's monthly candle, simply break up through the high, it's going to be looking like a very bullish move. What you'll see happens when we see down at these lows in the past, we had, say, down back here, we had a series of bullish monthly candles, or small and decisive ones, then a break up through. Then we came down and we tested, we had a bullish candle, then a break up through, and a good rally. This time we've come down, we've tested, we've formed support, we've got the candle. We need to see the break up through that next week, but it's looking strong. The fact that these indicators are pushing up and making higher lows as well, see how the MACD has made 3 higher lows, and so has the RSI. This is a good strong bullish indication too. For the first time in some months, I'm actually changing my stance from bearish to slightly more bullish. Also, they were a little bit cautious, and I'll show you some of the reasons why. There's some mixed signals out there across the currencies and even on the dollar index, so we'll go and have a look at them all now. But there's the monthly, and it looks very strong indeed. Let's just come and have a look at the weekly chart there. And what we'll see on the weekly chart is that if we just zoom in on this most recent part of the action, we have made lower highs and lower lows, which is the definition of a downtrend. That trend has not changed yet, so we are still downtrending. We also, and I've drawn in a line here, this line now is around about 80.5, and this is some really strong old support. Look at how many times that it was tested through here. Even back before that it was tested on, maybe not such a precise basis, but most recently this level has been a very strong, very precise support level, and we've hit right up against that on last week's close. So literally the market closed on Friday, we closed right on that level, and it's major resistance. What we can also do is just see, I always like to draw a Fibonacci line in. If we draw a Fibonacci line from the high down to the low, you'll also see that this is a 62% pullback. So 62% pullback clustering with that old support, and that is a very significant level. What we need to see to really confirm the bullish stance is we need to see price continuing up through there. So we have the monthly chart looking bullish, but the weekly chart at the moment is still looking indecisive. We need to see a break up through that level. If we can get up through there and we can hold up through there, it will be looking very bullish indeed. I'd be looking for a change of trend here. Although, like I say, the reason I'm still slightly cautious at stages like this is because the trend hasn't changed yet. I'm expecting it to change. It's looking more likely to change now, but it hasn't changed yet. The monthly chart is a good heads up of what might happen, because here the trend has changed. We've gone into quite a messy, rangy market at the bottom, although still downtrending as we still made lower highs and lower lows. What has now happened here is we've broken up, we've made a higher high than the previous, we pulled back, we made a higher low than the previous low, and then we continued up and broke up through that high. This is a good strong uptrend now. Daily chart is uptrending, monthly chart is looking bullish, weekly chart is at a key resistance level. We just need to see what happens and how it tests that. This daily chart as well, it's actually moved a little bit away from the averages, and we've just made a higher high, so a pullback will not be a big deal. We'd expect a pullback. It could last a few days, it could last a week, but it doesn't change the fact we need to see what happens now as price retests 80.5, and then we can see if it can break up through that. All I'm saying on the retracement side is if it does retrace first, that's not a big deal. The thing is, what happens when we get up through it? Can we break through it? A pullback down and then a failure at 80.50 would be a bad indication, and an indication that we're likely to continue downwards. When I say bad, sorry, I mean bearish. Having a quick look at some of these spot currencies, looking first at dollar Swiss, not because of weighting in the dollar index, but largely because of correlation. This makes it such an important one to look at, being very closely correlated. We see a very bullish monthly chart. Ryan highlighted this last week, whereby indicators are showing this bullish divergence at the lows. We had a very bullish candle. We're a decent way from the moving averages, showing a pullback as required into that sell zone. Ryan was looking for a break up through parity and a close up through there. We've got that now. This is a monthly chart. We've certainly got a break up through last month's high, and if we come down to lower time frames, even here on a weekly, we've put in a higher low followed by a higher high. So literally here made a higher low than the previous, now broken up through parity, up through those highs like Ryan was looking for, and this is looking bullish for a good move back up. Coming to the daily chart, we've also put in significant here higher lows followed by higher highs, and not too far from the buy zone here based on the moving averages. So this is looking very bullish and backing up a bullish stance on the dollar index. If we just come lastly and have a quick look at euro dollar, and looking at euro dollar here on the monthly chart, this has actually come back into this longer term monthly decline. So in the longer term we've made, here's a low and a high and a lower low than the previous, and pulled back in. We've now just made a lower high. So we're on our third consecutive lower high. We've already made lower lows. This is a very bearish candle last month. Indicators are pushing lower to the downside. This is actually showing possibility for a bearish euro back down towards its 1.2 level, in which case a very strong dollar there, and the monthly chart looking bearish. Coming to the weekly chart, however, very much like the dollar index, we still haven't confirmed that new downtrend, and actually we've just broken back up. We've pulled back into the moving average buy zone. It's going to be an indication of what happens early this week, or even over the whole week, as to whether or not the dollar is indeed bullish or bearish. But higher time frame there on the monthly is looking very bearish, and the daily chart almost mirror image, in fact, but the opposite to the dollar index here, with the euro dollar daily chart looking bearish as well. Coming back and tying this all back together on the dollar index contract, we are at that, any potential change of trend, there's always a little bit of caution involved, because things can change quite quickly. But what is interesting right now out there news-wise is we've had certain events of news, like, for example, the trouble that Ireland is in, also the conflict between North and South Korea, and whenever the world sees this kind of conflict, they tend to look back to the US as a bit of a safe haven, and we're seeing buying of US dollars as we start to see conflict out there in the world. But it's interesting that we are seeing that conflict, that much like what happened in 2008, people are going back, looking to the US dollar, starting to buy US dollars. We can't predict when these conflicts will happen and how bad things are likely to get, but certainly if any of that does continue and we do see more trouble with those European countries, or more conflicts between North and South Korea, that's even more of a sign I'd expect the dollar index to keep on rising based on recent history. Hope that helps all. Happy trading. Speak to you soon.